Welcome, weary travelers. Please, have a seat. Oh, me? Oh, I'm but a humble storyteller. I was actually about to indulge the crowd with a new enthralling tale from years past. Oh, its name. It's a little gem I like to call Gem Meow Meow. I was actually just about to pour myself a glass of some fine Dwarven brandy. A good friend of mine, Krusk, once gave it to me. It's not really palatable to human palates. Refreshing. Alright. You came here for story time. You didn't come here for ham. You didn't come here for my cool lighting effect. You didn't come here to see me wear an old Halloween cape. Get that trash out the way. My table, you do not dress up for D&D. You come with what's up here. You don't cosplay. You don't, well, I'm going to look like, no. If you're fat and out of shape, guess what? You're never going to look like that athletic rogue you bought. Made. Okay, maybe you bought it. I don't know. Goddamn power gamers looking online to see what the hell you're going to get. This colored water added a cool little effect. This was actually a Christmas gift from my good friend Carly. Finally using it. I thought I'd use it for a dinner party first, but you know, a D&D video's just as fine. So, story time. Today's collection, Gem Meow Meow. Now this isn't a story about my amazing triumphs, my incredible luck, my horrible suffering. It is a story about bad DMs. A couple years ago, I got burnt out again. I wanted to play. For the longest time, I was DMing the map maker and Nick Dick. And with just two people, the storylines get boring. You know, you just want to play with your friends. You don't want to do the stuff for your friends. And it just got tiresome. So we actually had the thing. I printed up about 50 flyers, and I put them all around San Antonio, trying to find a DM. Even created my own Google mail account, just so I wouldn't get spammed with my other mail accounts. I got about 10 emails in there. 9 of them were, "Oh, you play D&D? I'd love to sit in and play." The flyer clearly said, "We are looking for a DM for 3.5. And so that was the first 9 people. The last person says, "Hey, I'd love to DM, but I only do 5th ed, or 4th ed." Again, completely useless to us. You know, they're asking me, "Well, do you have your own books?" I'm like, "We have our own 3rd ed books." You know, it was just, we wanted a DM. Man, should I just sucked it up and played a little bit longer, though. Alright, so the map maker, Jonathan Mueller, decides, "Hey, I know this guy at work. Let's get him." He says that he's played D&D, claims his girlfriend is a great DM. And I was like, well, fuck, let that guy come over and bring his girlfriend. You know, then they can both, he can play and his girlfriend can DM. Well, that didn't happen. What happened was, he came. He was a little Weasley dude. I think his name was Josh. After a while, we ended up just calling him Casper. Oh, why was he called Casper? As Nick Dick put it, because he was dead to us. That's why we call him Casper. He was quite possibly one of the worst DMs I have ever had the misfortune of playing with. Would claim all week long, working on campaign ideas. You fucking liar. He didn't realize that all of the resources he had, we also had. So he'd come in with a pre-made campaign, and he'd try to pawn it off as his own. And I'm sitting there going, well, I know that campaign. I've read through it before, because I was bored and just wanted something to read. And he was one of those DMs. He had a very linear path set up. If you were the decision, There was only one of two things, you know, a left or right kind of turn. I'm not a left or right kind of guy. I like to make diagonals. I like to go catty corner. You know, when I know, absolutely know, there's a threat in the mountains, and there's a threat at the sea. Okay. Well, I'm going to claim that I'm not prepared for the day, and I'm just going to sit around the keep and, you know, socialize and try to get a little more info. You know, I'm a horrible player. I'm going to say it. I like when the DM ad-libs. I like when the DM's on his toes going, okay, someone's actually challenging me. You know, those are the DMs I like. I like people who can think of something on the fly. And then, you know, 2 campaign sessions later, my notes better be right because he's going to bring up that stupid shit I pulled. That's the kind of people I like to play with. That's the kind of DMs I like. This guy was not it. My character was Jamfire Tealeaf. His younger sister, Lily Tealeaf, played by the map maker. Now, Jamfire Tealeaf was a halfling samurai in a non-oriental adventure. And this guy was playing his campaign world. It wasn't My Adoring Lexington. It wasn't the map maker's idea of what Faerun should be. It wasn't what Nick and Dick tried to pull off one time. This thing was just, okay, I have read SRD Monster Manual. I have read SRD Player's Handbook 1. I have read SRD Dungeon Master's Guide. And we're going to play in that world. Problem 1. The map maker was praying to a deity that didn't exist. You know, problem 2, I'm playing a fucking samurai. This guy didn't know how to say no to anything. He was like, we're just going to let everything go. We're just going to let everything go. We had told him, we use a point buying system in this, you know, in our little group. It's a lot more fair. He's like, well, I prefer if you roll your stats. He was the DM. We were going to listen. I told him, well, this is what's going to happen, man. The map maker's going to roll halfway decent to amazing. Nick and Dick going to roll almost amazing 90% of the time. And I'm going to ask for some rerolls because I don't think you want me to have 4 6s in key stats. He's like, oh, okay, well, you know, we'll see how it goes. We get there, first night of D&Ding, or, it wasn't even, we weren't even playing, we were we weren't establishing our characters, we weren't setting up the story. He wanted us to build our characters in front of him. Now, if you're that guy who's like, I need to see you build your character right in front of me, 2 things. 1, your rule structure is not set up so any idiot can do it away from you. You need to change that shit. 2, you're playing with people you can't trust. You need to just quietly boot 1 or 2 out until the others get the idea, or just start over with a new group altogether. This guy treated us like he didn't trust us. This guy was just, everything he wanted to do was asinine, insulting to our intelligence. I can't fathom. Casper just pisses me off on a spiritual level with my intelligence, if that makes any sense. So, why am I building up Casper and all this bullshit? Because Jam Meow Meow, I'll get to why he's called that in a minute. Spoiler alert, Nick and Dick's involved. Let us just build stupid shit, a non-cohesive party that was just, okay, we're here to play, I guess. And I tried to be supportive. I'm like, man, you know, tell me about this world you want to play. You know, let me fit my character idea into yours. He's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just play what you want to play, and you know, we'll make it mash up. The current campaign builder I'm doing right now, if you watch my workshop video, part of that was establishing the characters before we start game night. We haven't even finished that yet. This Thursday, we have to go back and do it again. And this guy was like, I want you to build your characters, not for an adventure, a campaign. He had a campaign in mind. We were level 2 characters, and he wanted to get us to level 20. So first night, he wanted us to build our characters in front of him, work with them with the story of how they all jive together as an adventuring party, how they exist in this world, and he wanted to start playing. And he said, this can all be done in the same night. At this point, I had been DMing for about a year and a half, and I was like, no, it cannot. The map maker had been playing for about 9 years and said, no, it cannot. Nick a Dick had been playing for about 6 years and going, no, it cannot be done. We're going to have elaborate background stories. We're going to have characters with personalities, inner relationships with one another, you know, inner jokes, inner rivalries. We wanted to build the flavor fuck out of this. We were going to build a team that cared about each other, that wanted to help each other. But Casper here, no, I know better than everybody else, decided we were just going to jump right in. So, I don't even remember most of the story, but World of Calamity, metal-colored dragons, and monocolored dragons, you know, the reds, the blacks, the golds and silvers, we're all working together. And so this huge world threat's going on, and we're here to stop it, and those dragons are working together, and we're level 2. That's right, campaign night 1, he wanted to build the fact that eventually we're going to be fighting an onslaught of dragons. We are level 2. No build up to it, no nothing. I mean, this was his original story. That's what he was going to use. And then he starts busting out the pre-made campaigns. And it was just one thing after another pre-made, and I'm trying my damnedest not to break it and go, okay, I know the answer to this puzzle, so I'm just going to shut up and not do it. While my 2 friends are over there, alright, let's not just do the puzzle, let's just go kill the monster. Oh my god, I'm trying to stay on topic here, but he is just one of the shittiest DMs out there. And I needed to vent my soul of this experience. Pre-made campaigns come with maps. I don't have a problem with that. You can have a map. We had grid paper. We had things, we had miniatures, we had everything. He wanted to utilize all of it. I was like, okay, cool. If the map is 1.5 miles by 1.5 miles, and you're using traditional grid paper or grid, you know, grid something that you can write on, and your grid is each little square, 5 feet by 5 feet, it goes 30 across and 45 up, you cannot draw 1.5 miles by 1.5 miles on that grid. And he tried. And it was one of the most asinine things ever, because we got into a battle with a 2-headed giant, and we're kicking its ass, and the whole idea was we were supposed to find out this riddle and, you know, try to see, you know, that it was this cursed soul and it just needed our help. He didn't give us any hooks. My halfling samurai, who he said didn't try to communicate with the village, walked into town, saw everybody mourning, and went, there's a lot of destruction here. I'd like to speak to whatever town leadership you consider to be your authority, whether that be the town guardsman, the mayor, the duke, whoever you claim is in charge. Please allow me to speak to him. I believe our services as an adventuring party can be put to use here. He wanted to say that we didn't try to find out what was going on in town. Okay, you create shit PCs, that's on you. My guy did his goddamn job. Walked into town, asked a very direct question. No, he didn't sugarcoat it. No, he wasn't sensitive to other people's feelings. But he straight up said, hey, we might be of service. So the NPC is kind of just like, until finally one of them, who basically begrudgingly says, the mayor can be found over there. Okay, so I go see the fucking mayor. See the mayor? Start talking to him. The mayor's acting like he doesn't want the adventuring party there. The adventuring party who's here to stop him from breaking the barns, stop him from destroying the crops. You know, our job is to be the local hero, and he doesn't want us. Not because he has faith in his townsmen to do the job, not because he's under direct orders from someone else. Nope. Because Casper couldn't make intelligent NPCs. These NPCs were 2 steps away from, you walk up to them, excuse me, may I ask you about the town? I saw the local foliage, and I was very interested, at this time of year, could you tell me what grows, and, what kind of mosses are edible? And the NPC, press B to jump. I'm sorry? I was asking about the foliage. Do you know anything, or could you tell me anybody? Press B to jump. I don't understand this concept of pressing B. What does B have to do? Are you talking about bees? I don't understand. Could you elaborate? Press B to jump. They were 1 step above that. 1 step. Okay? Do not build NPCs unless you, as a human being, can hold a conversation. This fucker couldn't. Needless to say, this campaign unraveled rather quickly, and just everything about this guy's DMing style was just horrible. Just horrible. He worked with the map maker. They both have an overnight job somewhere, and I think he still works with the map maker, but that fucker is never going to watch this video. And Wednesday night would come around, Tuesday night would come around, we play on Thursday. He's like, hey man, I had this really great idea for the campaign. What if we did this? Would flush out an entire story arc idea. And John just sits there and is like, hey, that sounds cool, but you kind of did it where it was going to have this twist, and you told me about the twist. Now I can't forget it when I go and play on Thursday. You just kind of ruined it for me. And Casper's, well, it was just an idea. And then that week we'd see that twist that when the map maker Jonathan got there was bitching about because he already knew, and he was like, I really hope this guy came up with something else. I know that already. The guy didn't want to learn. The guy didn't want to help. I mean, at one point I just yelled at him like, can we get your girlfriend in here? Can she DM? And this girlfriend, I noticed after a while, he would never address her by name. And he was always real vague on the details. She always had she was sick with this, or she was sick with that. Yeah, there was no girlfriend. This guy obviously lives alone, and just like, he's writing his manifesto for the day, for the reckoning, when he probably blows my brains out, and a bunch of other people who pissed him off and didn't respect him enough. And I mean, like, he was thrown in the position of DM and heard God. And then when the subject of God didn't live up to his expectations, he threw every kind of bitch fit he could. And it was to the point where it was like, man, you just need to leave. You need to leave. And it was real hard to keep this, like, I wanted this to be a serious campaign, because it was the first time I was going to get to play with my friends. I got to play D&D, I got to DM with these guys, but I never got to play with them. It was the first time. So I chose a very serious character. I had this whole background. The only problem I made was my character name, Gemfire. Gemfire. I thought it was cool. And he was the older brother to Lily Tea Leaf. And because he had to follow the Bushido code, he always had to be truthful and faithful to family. Those two things contradicted each other because Lily Tea Leaf was an expert rogue. So sometimes he'd catch her stealing something, and it was like, do I turn her into the authorities, or do I have to follow, the sense of honor in my family? I wanted to play on that idea. It came up once, and while I was having that internal struggle, and another guard saw this too. Bullshit! I have an amazing spot, and I rolled a 19, and I beat her sneak by 2. Don't tell me some bullshit guard who's scratching his balls and doesn't want to be at work caught her 2. You're full of shit. But that was this kind of guy, man. I mean, he thought he was God, and he thought, you know, his word was law. Now, I've met some DMs, when they say my word is law, it's because they are fair and balanced individuals. Yeah, they might want to fuck you over once or twice, but it's because it's the benefit of the group. This guy just wanted power, and he was dealing with 3 assholes who were like, no, you can get power when you learn to tell a good story. The thing just broke down to such a point where it was just, it wasn't worth playing, it wasn't worth being there. After 3 weeks, we kicked his ass out. The reason you came here was to hear about Jamfire. Why it became Jam Jam Meow Meow. Nick a Dick. I chose Jamfire first night, and he was like, Jamfire? You literally just took the words jam and fire. How long did that take you to come up with? I was like, man, fuck off. I like that name. It's a good halfling name. Jamfire. You wouldn't have thought of it. He's like, I just think it's stupid. I was like, well, fuck off. And then, through that, later on he had his character, Jammy, do you need help? Jamfire. No, and it's Jamfire. We dungeon crawler or something else, you know, something very generic and bland. The story, the entertainment from that night did not come from any of the adventure. It came from the interaction with my friends. Make it a little further in the story, you know, we're being introduced to some noble. I'm not exaggerating this. Dungeon crawl, introduced to noble, another dungeon crawl, same night. Spacing issue on top of everything else. And while we're being introduced to the noble, I went from Jammy to Jam Jam! Because the halfling samurai was incapable of introducing himself all of a sudden. Once again, Jamfire, keeping his composure, was like, it is Jamfire, Teeth. Please, ignore the outburst of my friend. But Nick a Dick just wouldn't let it go. It went from Jammy to Jam Jam, and then the next campaign night, when we were introduced to, now we were in some woodland trying to kill a giant with 2 heads. If you've played that adventure, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I mean, that thing was done so poorly, and I was like, and I've read through that thing twice, and I wanted to actually play it, and here I am getting to play it, and it was like, wow, it was like making a deal with the devil. Here's what you wanted. Oh, that's not what I meant. Too bad. So, after talking to the locals, Nick a Dick's character, once again, we're getting to a scrimmage, we're helping, and I get myself in a little bit of trouble. And he goes, Jam Jam, are you okay? Now, Nick a Dick, we used to play in his apartment, and he always had a trashy apartment. I mean, it's a very nice neighborhood. He had very nice things. It's just, Nick thinks that if it's a floor, everything can go on there. This man has immaculate bookshelves. Everything is neatly placed. Everything is neatly organized. I mean, he keeps a nice bed. I mean, he's got a pretty organized closet. But his floor is for everything. Clean dishes, dirty dishes, Q-tips, used and not used. You know, props, everything. So, I mean, it's nothing against the guy. He's a single bachelor, so, I mean, he gets a woman, he'll clean up his act. I know the guy. He's a great guy. But back then, when we were playing in his apartment, everything was just a mess. So, he goes, Jam Jam! I pick up a pencil, I throw it at him. Jam Jam, don't hurt me! Pick up a pin, throw it at him. Jam Jam, why you hurt me? The highlighters, vis-a-vis, D20s, D6s, D8s, miniatures, action figure, piece of anything I could throw at him, and he just kept coming back with Jam Jam, Jam Jam, until it just evolved into Jam Jam, no, no! Jam Jam, no, no! He kept yelling that at me, and it was just, I was pissed because he wouldn't get my character's name right, and then I was laughing my ass off because he came up with that. And then I was laughing even harder because God was angry because we were having a good time in his poorly put together D&D campaign. So that's the story of Jam Jam Meow Meow. It's not a story of an epic adventure. It's not the story of, misfortunes or luck like Jake the Fighter and Londo. It's the story of a DM who just needed to shut the fuck up and say, hey, I can't do it. Tell me what you guys thought of this story. It was a bit of a departure. Sorry for the early setup. I thought I could do full ham, but I got to a point I was like, I got to use my real voice, and this cape was getting hot. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.